heard of the Contraception Begins at Erection Act that's been proposed in Mississippi? I live for this pettiness. The act is named to suggest that the responsibility for contraception begins with the male's physiological response, his erection, and it establishes a legal framework around the discharge of genetic material, i.e. sperm, in a way that connects it to the potential for fertilization. Basically, they're saying, hey, if you are going to try and control our bodies, we're going to try and control yours. And I love it. So this bill that's being presented makes it unlawful for a person to discharge genetic material without the intent to fertilize an embryo. This could be interpreted to mean that any ejaculation that does not aim to result in conception would be considered a violation of the law. It's a $1,000 fine for the first offense, $5,000 fine for the second offense, and $10,000 for a third or subsequent.
You know who would absolutely support something like this? Matt Walsh. So this new law will now punish men for refusing to date or marry. So if you want physical intimacy, basically you can't do it yourself. You will be punished for self-gratification, and you will be fined, and then potentially you will be arrested if you cannot pay those subsequent fines. This basically amounts to a tax on men. This is a form of bachelor's tax because men are walking away from dating and relationships and choosing to be single, to focus on themselves, their own happiness. A lot of men are not even doing MWA. MWA is men walking away, men with alternatives. So these are like people like the Passport Kings. No, they're going straight up MGTOW, which is they're choosing to avoid dating, relationships, and instead focus on themselves and their own happiness. And now this is basically a form of revenge, and they're coming after men full blast and they're basically like, we're going to punish you if you dare remain single, if you dare avoid us. Watch the end of the video to fully understand the implications of a new law that will now punish men for refusing to date, marry, or be physically intimate with a woman. Don't forget to follow us over on Rumble. You never really know what can happen on this platform, so go ahead and follow us over there. It's linked in the description of the video. And also, guys, this economy is not a good economy. Think, guys, the fall of the golden V is going to happen with the crash of the economy. And so you need to prepare yourselves. I want to just tell you again a little bit about the Crypto Trading for Dummies blueprint, which is available in Angry's Crypto Academy. With this blueprint, you'll learn how crypto day trading can help you earn daily profits, even starting small. Imagine making $30 a day with $100 or even hundreds daily trading small amounts, working just an hour a day. It's written so simply that even a fifth grader can do it. With banks collapsing and the economy in chaos, this skill is your lifeline. Click the link in the description to check it out now. And now let's just go ahead and jump right into the first video.
Week, a bill filed in the Mississippi State Senate is sparking national headlines.
Yeah, the author of that bill said that the wide array of reactions were not what he expected. 16 WAPT's Bethel Miles spoke exclusively with Senator Bradford Blackman about the bill that is causing quite a stir.
What is 2319?
Well, 2319 is what it boils down to. Is it points out the hypocrisy and the double standard in legislation that we have that targets what women do in their most personal decisions.
The bill comes after Senator Bradford Blackman got word about another bill being filed last summer.
I can't remember which bill it was that I saw that was targeting people that helped someone get an abortion. I was like, this is getting out of hand, and it's always targeting women.
Blackman says even though the title of the bill is getting attention, it has real meaning.
But when you have a title like this, that's what's catching people's attention. So if that's what catches your attention and gets the conversation going, I'm all for it.
The senator hopes this brings attention to the other bills he's filed.
That was 16 WAPT's Bethel Miles reporting. The senator hopes that bill can bring attention to others like Senate Bill 2212.
Let's just be very, very clear, guys. This bill is what does that have to do? What does that have to do with this? Obviously, guys, what they're trying to do is just gaslight us and act like, oh, we're trying to bring attention to this other situation, so don't pay any attention to what we're doing over here. The reality is that men are no longer marrying, men are no longer having children, men no longer want to be physically intimate. Gen Z is basically the most, Gen Z males are the most sex less generation in history at this point. They're avoiding dating, they're avoiding relationships. Most men today, 90% of men are 90% of men are avoiding dating, relationships, or physical intimacy. Okay, most men are now completely out of the game. In the United States alone, the marriage rate is only 1 out of every 1,000 men. So now it's still less. Now it's less than 1 out of every. Now it's less than 1% of men. So less than 1% of men are getting married. But of course, that's still one too many for most of you. And you'll go in the comments, yes, angry, but that means that there's still some men out there getting married. So it's still one too many. I feel like most of you will not be happy until the system of marriage is completely abolished and abandoned in Western society. And I mean, it's never going to happen, but realistically speaking, it doesn't even matter at this point, because the Sims, even though they are destroying our lives, they themselves are avoiding marriage. I have all of the Sims on my channel constantly bothering me. Even before making this video, I have to go block some of them. And it's like they're talking about my content and and criticizing the content that I make. But I'm thinking to myself, but little bro, you're complaining about my video and you're giving very specific details regarding my video. My videos are like 40 minutes long. The video that you watch is 1 hour and 15-minute video. You're complaining about something that I made 50 minutes into the video and also saying that all of my videos are like this. But for you to know that, you would have to be watching all of my videos. And not only would you have to be watching all of my videos, you would also have to be watching most of the video itself. Why would you be watching the content of someone that you don't even like? The fact is that these men have betrayed society. They have betrayed humanity. They've betrayed men, and they have nowhere else to go. So while they want to attack me, the fact is that they are my biggest fans and biggest supporters because they are watching my videos longer than many of my biggest supporters. These Sims, guys, I told you, they are agents of the state. And they operate as agents of the state in exchange for betraying men, for betraying masculinity. They are rewarded with access to women and access to resources. But the thing is that they have made society such a miserable place to live, such a miserable place to exist, that now they themselves do not want to engage in relationships in society because they've created such a treacherous and horrible society for all of us. This is only the beginning, guys. So now you would basically be taxed. You would be fined significant amounts of money if it can be proven that you have basically released any form of genetic material without the intent to fertilize an egg. So basically, it's a backdoor to giving women direct control of a man's body. In other words, a man is only allowed to experience any form of gratification if a woman deems it so. Guys, it's psychotic. Didn't I not tell you that this type of thing was happening before the fall of the Roman Empire? Even during the fall of the Roman Empire, guys, this is worse. This is worse than what they're doing to men. Is worse than anything that they could have done to men in Rome. Okay, what they like for example, child support, where men are paying for children that are not even theirs, and no one gives a damn. No one cares at all. And when women do this, you don't get any of that money back. There are some men who have gone to jail for years, okay, for not paying child support for a child that was not theirs, and the woman knew that the child wasn't theirs. And they still sent this man to jail. And there is no recourse whatsoever because these individuals are agents of the state.
And I went to prison for 5 years. When I got out of prison in 2003, I paid child support from that day until just February of last year when I lost my job.
Only because they garnished your wages.
Absolutely, that's what they do. And I actually asked my public defender, where's the proof? I've yet to see proof that the child's mine.
Mr. Manser, you are not
Oh, God.
his father.
Oh, man. 5 years in prison. Dylan, I'm sorry, bro. This is why. This is why I did what I did.
But this is nothing I made up. The lab did.
You made it all up.
No, I did not.
Well, those results
I
apparently
don't know
are made
any
up.
of those people on that form.
Oh my God.
This is clearly the most shocking
Very much.
news we've ever gotten in this courtroom.
Oh my God. She should be convicted of some crime.
No, I should not. I did
That
not.
is fraud.
Mr. Manson, Miss Sear, do you know?
Yes, ma'am.
You know who his father is.
Yes, I talk to him still.
You cannot stand there and really suggest that you cannot comprehend why this man would not have any type of ill feeling, frustration, or regret as it relates to anything involving you. 5 years in prison. And then I say, do you know who your son's father is? And you say, yes, I'm still in touch with him. That is a really huge pill to swallow.
Now, let me make this very clear. What's really interesting is then you'll also have women say that men should never get upset with a woman. They should never, because they will say, guys, this is the stupidity. You should never raise your voice with a woman. You should never get angry at a woman. You should never hold resentment towards a woman. All right? This is the stupid, because she's only going to flip it around on you and play the victim. So it's like you just have to remain stoic and just take it all. Do you guys, the truth is that if you as a man never hold a woman accountable for what they're doing, if men don't hold women accountable, if men don't say, you know what, enough is enough, if men do not have ill intent and anger, guess what ends up happening? They just keep on rinsing and repeating it. All right? There was something that, like, I saw, I think it was Sarah Wheaton or something like that. And it's crazy. Don't ever get angry with a woman.
Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to get into some harsh truths that men need to know, understand, and accept. And no, I'm not trying to hurt your feelings. I'm literally just putting it out there to put it into perspective for you. And it's not to make you feel bad. It is to spread awareness to the difficulties and the struggles that men face.
And I just want you to listen to everything she says very carefully, because this is absolutely ridiculous.
Men go through. So with that being said, let's just get right into it. Men should never have any anger or resentment towards their partners, even if it's her mood swings that's causing it. If you fight with a woman, by default, she is automatically a victim. You will not win. You will pay for all the bad men equally, no matter how good of a man that you are. When a woman works hard, she is an inspiration. When you work hard, you will always be just an average man doing his job. If you accidentally look at a woman the wrong way or brush up against a woman the wrong way, you are automatically considered criminal or a creep. There is no exception. Women will always accuse you of being a cheater without ever realizing that a woman was also involved. One fake, false allegation of SA or your life is over. You will always be taught to respect women, and just remember that women will never be taught to respect you. And respect is earned, not given. If you discipline or scold your child, then you have anger issues and you need help. But if you don't scold them, then you're weak and you don't know how to parent properly. Not to mention you're irresponsible or the Disneyland fun parent. If you don't care about your kids, she'll beg you to be around. But if you care about your kids, then she'll withhold them as much as possible. You will almost never, ever, ever be given the benefit of doubt. You automatically did it. It's a harsh reality. And you automatically did it even if there's no proof. You are guilty until proven innocent, rather than innocent until proven guilty. You can do everything in life correctly and everything right and still lose. You are almost always expected to be the breadwinner, but you are also almost expected or never allowed to ask for anything or have any wants, needs, or desires. Society will always tell you that you need to step up and be a father, but when you do, there will never be any changing tables in the men's bathroom or anything that accommodates you to being a better father. But there will always be things in society to accommodate mothers to be better mothers. If you lose everything in a divorce or you finally decide to leave, just know that you can also rebuild and it's not the end of the world. The majority of women are narcissistic, materialistic, and egotistical. And unfortunately, the only way to combat it is to actually work out, be the man that she wants to be, and then hold the upper hand. Otherwise, she's never going to even look your way. Nobody cares about you. It doesn't matter what you go through. Nobody cares about you. You are supposed to always be the hard worker and the earner, and if you're not, then you're lazy and boring and uninspired. You cannot cry or share emotion, or you're considered weak, but when she begs you to be vulnerable and you do, she will use it against you. You will always live in fear of being accused by a woman of SA. If a woman can replace you at the drop of a hat, then you never mattered to her in the first place, and it doesn't matter how many years have passed or have gone by or how many years you shared together. And lastly, waiting to change and trying to change doesn't do anything, and talking about change also doesn't do anything. The only thing that provides you with change is action.
Ask you something. When the banks collapse, and trust me, it's coming, will you be ready? Imagine waking up to ATMs that don't work, bank doors chained shut, and millions of people left with nothing. No cash, no access to their savings, and no way to survive. But it doesn't have to be that way for you. That's why I created Angry's Crypto Academy, to teach you everything you need to know about crypto so you can protect yourself and your family. You'll learn how to buy, sell, and even day trade crypto for a living. Plus, we alert you to new crypto trends so you can profit before everyone else even knows what's happening. Right now, I've just published an exclusive investment guide inside the Academy, and it's linked in the description below. In it, I reveal the one coin that could make you a millionaire. A coin so revolutionary, it could change everything. If you missed out on Bitcoin and Ethereum, this is your second chance. This isn't just about financial freedom. It's about survival. When the system collapses and everyone else is selling, you'll be the one buying, prepared to weather the storm and thrive while others struggle to survive. Don't wait. This knowledge isn't optional, it's critical. The link's in the description. Go check it out now. I mean, guys, it's sad. It's absolutely sad what we are going through as men, and we are getting our wake-up calls that this society does not like us. It's always despise us. What she just said is, that point, never have anger or resentment towards a woman because she will just use it against you. That's absolute nonsense. I'll explain why. To say that you should never have anger or resentment towards a woman for things that she's done to you is to say that you should basically always allow her to do whatever she wants to you. If you don't express any anger, if you're always stoic, she will continue to believe that she can treat you however she wants, and there will never be consequences. Regardless if she ever takes accountability for her behaviors, it doesn't matter. The fact is, you have to check her and let her know you're not tolerating it. Now, don't get me wrong. You should never get into a yelling match with a woman. You should never, ever, don't play her game. The only power you have is to walk away. This is why so many men are choosing to avoid dating relationships entirely and instead saying, you know what? I'm going to just choose to remain single indefinitely. I'm just going to choose to walk away indefinitely. I'm just going to choose to be by myself indefinitely because relationships with modern women in Western society are no longer worth the hassle. It's no longer worth the danger. But guys, we were warned that this was going to come. We were warned of bachelor taxes. We were warned that men would be punished and demonized. So now they're trying to come after us even at the very base reproductive level. Because you have to understand, that's how society controls men. They control men using sex. They control men with physical intimacy. That's the entire. They have nothing else. They have nothing else. And women operate as agents of the state. You see, modern women, this is the reason why they attack women like Cooking with Kaya. They don't like Kaya because they cannot compete with Kaya. They don't like Kaya because Kaya can cook. And not only can she cook, but she can cook really great food. that is designed to make a man happy. It's designed to provide. It's designed for men. You can see the love in the food.
You can steal your man with his dinner. I just kicked, bro. Take a good look. Welcome to another video with Cooking with Kaya. Cooking with Kaya. Cooking with Kaya.
So I mean, I just basically muted it because you know how it is with copyright. But you can see her throwing down, and look at how she sees. Look at all the different things. That's like, I forgive me. You guys corrected me. Those are not Brussels sprouts. I don't know what the hell they are. But you can see what she's doing with the greens. Like she's seasoning even that butter. Look at all the seasoning that she puts on that steak. Look at the love that she puts on that meat. Look how she rubs it. Look how she sears that steak, okay? Look at the work that she puts in there. And I don't even think she's not done yet. So first she prepared the steak. Now she's putting butter. So now she's using melting butter over to give it that restaurant taste. This is a woman that is going the extra mile, okay? And now she's working on the baked potato. So look at that. She made cheese sauce, fresh cheese sauce, then no bottle, none of that. Look at that plate. Look at that amazing plate. So let's analyze this. We have a beautiful steak, all right? Our mothers didn't make steak like this for us. Look at, I mean, a lot of restaurants don't make steak like this. All right, look at those greens. Look how tasty those are. Look at all the work that she put on just some greens, okay? Look at that baked potato. My gosh, okay? How many different flavors are in there? Okay, you've got cheese, you've got melted cheese, you've got sour cream, you've got shredded cheese, you've got bacon bits. Come on. That is prepared with love. That's prepared with love. That's why women are complaining. They have this thing called the cooking with Kaya test, where women are basically trying to trick their men into basically revealing if they know who Kaya is. So for example, they'll go like cooking with, and then the guy will say, the girl's name after they cooked them something like cooking with, and basically they keep doing it until either the man says Kaya, or they're like, I don't know who, and they're like, okay, good, you don't know who Kaya is. But when they find out who Kaya is, then they basically put hands on the man.
Was machst du da?
Ich habe Lasagne gemacht.
Oh,
Cooking
Freunde,
with.
Selina hat uns lecker Lasagne gekocht und wir machen jetzt einen Taste-Test für euch.
Cooking with?
Ja.
Cooking with?
Cooking with Selina.
Nein, cooking with?
Cooking with Selina and Harun.
Nein, cooking with? Cooking with?
Ach so. Cooking with Kaya. 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 Was machst du da? Was ist los?
Was tanzt du? Warum tanzt du? Wer ist Kaya?
Kaya von TikTok.
Ah, solche Videos sind auf deiner.
You see how quickly he starts speaking English? Kaya from TikTok. Guys, they messed up. And they have nothing. If it doesn't come down to, all they can do is use physical intimacy. That's if Kaya was just on TikTok shaking her little butt, and twerking on TikTok, they wouldn't care. But the fact that she is preparing a plate of food for a man and she puts love into it, they cannot compete with that. You have a woman who is fit, feminine, and friendly and wants to serve a man, which is something that women view as servitude. All right, they view it as horrible. They view it as toxic. They will, a lot of women are like, oh, I want a man who will cook and clean for me and take care of me and provide everything for me. But the very idea of her doing these things is viewed as extremely negative and a form of discrimination. How did we end up here? We ended up here because of modern day feminism, what it told women. Feminism was not about equality. Feminism was about women getting special privileges and men getting special punishments. But basically, there are consequences for the decisions that we make. Women have been trying to dodge these consequences for a long time, but now these consequences are coming. They're basically going to have to face them. I talked about the great V collapse that was incoming. Basically, they took the V, dipped it in gold, and put it on a pedestal. And now, they're going to face consequences for it. And of course, there's one thing that women don't like. They don't like consequences because they're bailed out of every bad decision that they make. So if they cannot use sex to bail themselves out of their bad decisions, then what are they going to do? They're going to try to use the state to punish men to bail them out of their bad decisions. The state's like, listen, ladies, you're broke. We're broke. We don't have any money for you. So they're like, okay, well, then you need to pass new laws and new restrictions on men to punish men if they won't be with us. Like, this is, guys, the very fact that such a law could even be proposed shows you how psychotic this is. No such thing would ever be proposed for a woman, but such a thing is proposed against men. Now, do I think this will ever become a federal law? Absolutely not. But can it become a state law? Absolutely. Absolutely, this can become a state law. Okay, because you have to understand, with the left, with the modern day Democrats, they've gone so far left. They've now gone so far left that that anyone who's not far left is now on the right. Okay, they learned literally nothing from this last election. The only thing that they've basically figured is that, well, we just need to double down, and because they're a one-trick pony, using the media to spread lies and dissent, passing unjust laws that demonize and destroy the lives of men while giving women incentives to operate as agents of the state, and then everyone gets a cut of the man's income, of the man's assets. They're one-trick ponies, and then they gaslight men. The state gaslights us, women gaslight us, the Sims gaslight us. You know what's interesting that's happening right now? I can't actually show you guys anything regarding it. I can barely even talk about it, but evidently, streamer Destiny, he's basically a very left-wing person. He often has like purple hair, I believe, different color hair. His wife left him. She was basically like on an OnlyFools platform, and they were in an open relationship. And, they would basically hook up with the same people. Destiny identifies as bi. And then guess what ends up happening? The lady that he was in a relationship, the lady who he was in a relationship with, she basically, she left him and she walked away. She left him, she walked away, and now she's in a relationship with someone else. And he cannot seem to comprehend that his actions and the choices that he made resulted in him losing his wife. And now evidently he got Me Too'd. So he got Me Too'd recently. And I basically view it as now these people, now the people who did this thing, they are turning on one another. Now the devil is turning upon itself. And it's, and I really don't have a lot of empathy for these individuals, because they did these things. And now they are looking towards consequences. They are facing consequences for the choices, for the decisions that they've made in society. And, it's basically like the Bible says, like God has given them over to their sins. And they're going to have to deal with the fallout from this. And this is 100% fallout that they chose. It's 100% fallout that they engaged in. I don't know, guys. It's sad, but it is what it is. It absolutely is what it is. And for us as men, we have to just keep on loving God. We have to keep on putting God first. And we have to basically stay focused on our mission, focused on getting money, and not focused on women, because women they will always lead you astray. This is why men are going overseas to find someone overseas, to find a relationship overseas, because when it comes to Western society, there's nothing here for us. There's absolutely nothing here in Western society for us. And you're not going to find a virtuous woman in Western society, even overseas. Don't think you're finding a Nawalt, because a sad truth that a lot of men don't want to accept is the fact that when it comes to relationships, when it comes to women, all women are cheating on you. All women will cheat on you.
Never get comfortable with that girl you're dealing with. My bitch is going, your bitch is going. Hey, let me tell you something. Every girl is shakeable, breakable, and takeable. The number one rule of the game is don't think you can't get played, including me, bro. It don't matter how many likes you get, how known you are, how much he likes you. All it takes is the right emotion, the right opportunity, or the right dude, and your bitch is gone. Tom Brady's wife left him for a dude who probably makes $100,000 a year owning a fucking jiu-jitsu gym. Tom Brady's worth hundreds of millions of dollars, but the money didn't fucking matter. The fame didn't matter. Her emotions did. A lot of you dudes be so in love and get blindsided, talking about, oh, my girl would never cheat, she's super loyal. Don't put nothing past no girl. Even pimps get knocked for their 304s. You think you got more game in pimping than a fucking pimp? Buster? Now, I'm not making this video to, scare you guys in relationships, right? I'm just giving you the fucking reality, bro. So when a girl falls in love with you, keep falling in love with yourself. Because the moment she leave, and you fell in love with her, you're going to be all fucked up, depressed, don't know what the fuck to do. Girls cheat more than men. I've been single for 6 years. I've seen it all and did it all. Follow your boy for more advice.
I just want to tell you a little bit about the Crypto Trading for Dummies blueprint. With this blueprint, you'll learn how crypto day trading can help you earn daily profits, even starting small. Imagine making $30 a day with $100, or even hundreds daily trading small amounts. Working just an hour a day. It's written so simply that even a fifth grader can do it. With banks collapsing and the economy in chaos, this skill is your lifeline. Click the link in the description to check it out now.
Lawmaker decided to have a little bit of fun at the right's expense by introducing a bill that would fine men for masturbating or engaging in other sexual acts which don't have the quote intent to fertilize an embryo. Which is hot, I know, I agree. Mississippi State Senator Bradford Blackman, Democrat, has this bill. It's the Contraception Begins at Erection Act, which that's just chef's kiss. That's beautiful, I love it. It would make it unlawful for, quote, a person to discharge genetic material without the intent to fertilize an embryo. It includes exceptions for sperm donation and using contraception to prevent fertilization. I say if you're just gonna do your symbolic bill, go whole hog, you don't even need to do that, but that's fine. So you'd be fined if you violate this. So it's $1,000 for the first offense, $5,000 for a second offense, $10,000 for any subsequent offenses, either over time or if you have an oddly short refractory period. It could end up costing a lot of money for you. And so he talked to local news saying all across the country, especially here in Mississippi, the vast majority of bills related to contraception and or abortion focus on the woman's role when men are 50% of the equation. Not by time necessarily. This bill highlights that fact and brings the man's role into the conversation. People can get up in arms and call it absurd, but I can't say that bothers me. And so, look, we're gonna have a good amount of this during this time. It's in a place where they're not gonna be able to pass anything. I just like that it highlights the absurdity in a way that we occasionally get, and most people will just write it off. A lot of Republicans will be.
So something very interesting. So this is a comment that someone made on the actual video that you guys are watching, and they made an interesting point. Now, this, of course, this is a leftist person, but they said this was Richard Odin. So this is a fan. This is a person on the far left, but they actually said something interesting. They said, you guys are missing the plot. Republicans care nothing about reproduction, contraception, pregnancy, deletion of gestations, infidelity, or anything else other than raw, unadulterated, fascist power. And the way they get that power is by introducing laws that undermine our freedom. They will start with marginalized groups, and when no one steps up to the plate to defend the marginalized groups, they will move on to the general population. You will never make any cognate points by introducing bills that mock their behavior. So ultimately, what they're concluding is that the reality is that these bills won't actually, in the end, affect, the average person. These bills will ultimately affect, minorities, Black people, Hispanics, people from a lower socioeconomic status, disproportionately to people of means. And they're not necessarily wrong about that either. You see, guys, these people have gone so far to the left that anyone who is not far left now is on the right. Only a crazy person would think this up. This bill is just full of HATE. It is a bill ripe in HATE, written by people who do not like us. That's why I keep on warning you about modern women, how modern women think, how they behave. Guys, you should not be focusing on relationships. You should be focusing on getting your money, on getting your bag, on building yourself up, because hard times are coming right now. Hard times are absolutely coming, guys. We actually have an incredible sale happening right now over at Angry's Crypto Academy. Everything is 50% off. So definitely go and check it out before the sale ends. The Academy is linked in the description of this video.
Obviously, we wouldn't control my body, but my hope is that some of them will be like, oh wait, why is that so obvious in comparison to what I support? And it'll likely be very few people that this gets through to, but hell, I'll take a few. Brett, what do you make of it?
Yeah, Nina Turner did something like this in Ohio once. I think it was like kind of to prove a point. It said, listen, they made women get a second opinion or go through all these extra hoops to get an abortion. She introduced a bill that made it so that you had to go to additional doctors before you got Viagra to prove that you couldn't get an erection. It was something like that, and it was awesome. And this is just exactly what they should do, because when you first see that headline, you don't know if it's real or not. I think that's the best thing about it. You're like, a lot of people, I think, when they see this headline, thought that this was a right winger who introduced that exact bill. But that means that it's good satire, because it makes you question whether it's real or not. And I think he did an excellent job.
Yeah. Again, and look, we're gonna need to respond in this time in a lot of different ways. And I think it makes sense that some of them should be like impassioned and serious. Maybe like you put Reverend Buddy in that sort of category. We're gonna need comedians, and we're gonna need all that. And then we're also gonna need this sort of satire from comedians, but also from people working in the system. And no one thing is gonna fix all of this, and we need to do a lot of trial and error and all that, but we have to do what we can. And when you're a Democrat in the Mississippi House, you've probably got a little bit of spare time on your hands. So why not? Why not? Members make a difference here at TYT. You help make the show.
I mean, guys, just look at how bad it is that something like this could even be proposed. Will it get passed in Mississippi? Probably not. But could it get passed in Mississippi? Could it get passed not necessarily in Mississippi, but in another liberal state, like somewhere like California? Absolutely. Okay, somewhere like New York? Absolutely. You've got to be kidding me, guys. All right. This is, and you know what this will do? It's only going to incentivize men to further walk away. And of course, women are not going to take, while women are on social media celebrating these things and that are happening to men and turning men into enemies, because this is the one thing that is true that Sarah Eaton did say, is that men will pay for everything that other women have done. I don't know. That basically women will make a man pay for every bad relationship that she's had with a man. It's like, this only inspires men more to continue going their own way, to focus on themselves and to avoid relationships because they see where they're headed. And the only thing that women have, that women can use to control a man and attract a man, is physical intimacy. And now men are choosing to avoid physical intimacy. So women are now taking the next step, using their simps to pass legislation that would then further control a man's body. Like, I'm telling you, no one could have ever thought we would ever get to this point. Every day they're finding some new way to punish us, all right, for being men, for simply existing. That's a society that absolutely HATEs you.
Stage for any hoe is going to always be religion. The best way to figure out if a woman is an asset or a liability, just ask for her credit score or tell her you want a prenup. Any woman that's always on her phone when she's around you but takes forever to respond cannot be trusted. Always treat women exactly how they treat you. The best way to test a woman is to offer to go 50-50 on a first date. If a woman isn't immediately nurturing or wanting to take care of you, she doesn't like you. Always check her social media, because you never know who she's following, especially when there's videos out there that teach women how to fake cry. If she refuses to get rid of Snapchat, just know that she is keeping the door open for somebody else. The only reason that she doesn't want to go 50-50 with you is because she can't even afford 50% of your lifestyle. Because she's broke. A woman who uses the phrase, "I'm literally just a girl," is actually using weaponized incompetence to be financially irresponsible or irresponsibly unstable, and will wreck your life. Manipulation and abuse doesn't have to be screaming or yelling or even hitting you. Sometimes neglect can be anything from not having your needs met, not giving up any kind of intimacy, not taking care of herself intentionally so you find her less attractive, not listening to you, not hearing you, not understanding you, and dismissing your feelings. If her schedule changes drastically suddenly and she's staying late at work, or she's suddenly picking up more shifts, she's cheating on you. If a woman is always arguing with you, just know that she picked you and she doesn't respect you, because any woman that respects you is not going to want to argue with you all the time. Surefire way to know if you're a good dad is if she uses your kids against you because she knows it's the only thing that's going to hurt your feelings. Because if you were a deadbeat, then she'd know that you wouldn't give a damn about those kids, so she wouldn't.
Guys, if you think you've missed the boat on Bitcoin, think again. The crypto world is exploding with new opportunities. And while Bitcoin has already made its millionaires, there's still a chance for you to get in early on the next big wave. I've put together an exclusive guide on 4 altcoins that could change the game and change your financial future. These aren't just hype coins. These are real projects with groundbreaking technology and massive upside potential. This is your chance to get in before they hit the mainstream. But listen, crypto isn't just about getting rich, it's about freedom. Freedom from traditional banks, freedom from government-controlled money, and freedom to take back control of your life. That's why I created Angry's Crypto Academy. When you join the academy, you'll learn everything you need to know about cryptocurrency, how to buy, sell, and trade the right way, how to spot the coins that can truly take off, and how to use crypto to achieve real economic freedom. And here's the best part. When you subscribe, you'll get a free copy of my crypto blueprint. This is packed with valuable tips and strategies to help you get started, and it's yours just for joining. The link is in the description below. Don't wait around and miss another opportunity like Bitcoin. Those who act now will be the ones who win big. So if you're ready to take back control of your finances and start your journey to freedom, join Angry's Crypto Academy today.
Kids to manipulate you, so it's a blessing and a curse. She tries to gaslight you by telling you that she's posting provocative pictures for herself on the internet because she worked hard for her body. Just know that she's full of fucking shit, and she wants validation and attention from other men. And it's validation, reassurance, and attention from other men that you can't compete with, because you cannot compete with thousands of men when you're just one. So nothing you ever do is going to be good enough. And as long as you accept this type of behavior, she's going to continuously disrespect you. If you try to set boundaries, expectations, and standards and keep to your preferences with women, and suddenly she's calling you narcissistic or controlling, it's because she's not really a good woman. And lastly, any woman that doesn't make direct eye contact with you when she's having a conversation with you is probably lying about something. And if something doesn't make sense, it's probably not true.
Now, interestingly enough, Sarah Eaton, this is the reason why you have to be very careful. And I'm not knocking Sarah. She does say some things that make sense. Sarah Eaton is a single mother. She's talked about the fact that women cannot control their emotions, and she said that she also is a part of that brigade. How would Sarah know these things? How would Sarah understand all of these things? And she even said that a woman will always choose the child over you. What's interesting, guys? How does she know these things? Because she's done these things in relationships. She's done these things to men. There's no such thing as a virtuous person from this side of the fence. They're engaged in this type of toxic and narcissistic behavior, and that's the reason why they can tell you that women are doing this, because they themselves have done this type of thing. Guys, as a man, you have to understand that we live in a society that does not like us. That's the only way that you can have something like a bill being passed where men will be punished for refusing to date, marry, or be physically intimate with a woman, and they will now police your body in every way possible. They're constant. Guys, how insane is this notion? you will be fined indefinitely, constantly for basically releasing genetic material if it is not for the express purpose of fertilizing an egg. You think that this is a game? Look at what's happening over in China right now. They had the one-child policy, and with the one-child policy, they would literally come to your home. If you had more than one child, they would destroy the roof on your house. They would take all of your property. They would even take your animals, your pigs, your chicken, so that you could not eat, you could not survive, and you had to basically live like a vagabond. It was a horrible thing. What are they doing in China right now? I made a video about it earlier. They are literally the same offices that enforce the one-child policy are now going around and enforcing a birthing policy where they're demanding that couples have multiple children. Even if a couple has, and the reason why they're doing this is, for example, is they're going specifically after married couples because they've come to realize that married couples are more likely to have children and multiple children compared to people who choose to remain single. So you're basically punished in China for getting married because the birth rate for the last 2 years has fallen below replacement levels. So now they will come to your house and they will demand, and they will basically demand, if you even have 2 kids, they'll demand that you have 3 kids. If you have 3 kids, they will demand that you have 4 kids. And they will, and they are now putting out commercials in China, which warns you that if you do not start, if you're a man and you remain single, you will be punished for it. You'll be fined. All of your property will be confiscated from you. Guys, you think that this is, I'm telling you, this is what's happening right now. They'll seize your bank account. They will seize everything you have. They will destroy, if you have a home, if you live out in the boonies, if you live out in the country, they'll come to your little shed. They'll tear the roof off it. They'll take everything that you own to punish you for it. And so that everyone sees an example and they learn that you're going to go and you're going to produce babies right now. And if you don't do it, then you're in trouble. They are now calling women in China and they're demanding that the women disclose their medical information. When was the last time that they experienced a monthly event? When was, and all of these things, women who have already had kids, they're calling them and demanding that they get pregnant again immediately after having a baby. Okay? Because they are panicking. And why is this panic happening? Mainly because of the baby boomers. The baby boomers stole our futures while we were still in diapers. They kept all of the wealth for themselves. All right. What before the boomers, people would pass money to the next generation. So it was normal to spread your wealth among your children, and then your children would take that money and then they would use that money to build a future for themselves. Okay. And this would basically create generational wealth, and it would create sustainability. As a result of this, you would always have money. You would always be able to fall back on your children. You'd always be able to fall back on family. It was not just about creating a legacy. It was also about ensuring that a future viability. But boomers didn't look at it this way. They took everything. They stole our futures while we were still in diapers. They took everything that their parents, even money that that our grandparents left for us, the boomers stole it too. All right? And the very moment that you try to call them out or you try to bring attention to this, what they'll do is they immediately will try their very best to shut you down because they don't want anyone to know what they did. They don't want anyone to know how they robbed society. Okay? This is something that happened to all of us, guys. They stole everything. They stole everything. I mean, there's a comment there was a comment that was left. I want you guys to check this out. There was a comment that was left on one of my videos from a Gen Xer, and here's what he said. He said, "Yo, angry bro, you're not lying. When I was 19 years old, I joined the U.S. military. And before I shipped out to Iraq, my parents had me sign a power of attorney just in case I passed away." This is how evil these people are. They use that power of attorney to steal everything my grandfather left me, who was a naval officer in WW2. Then they spent all the money going on cruise ships while I was in Iraq getting bleeped up and bleeped at. This is what they did, guys. And if we click on this and we look at the comments, you have people who are basically saying, confirming that, hey, Yeah, this type of thing happened to me. Like, for example, one Gen X, there you go, Gen X for life, 1972. You expected more from your parents? Lol. Guys, that was common practice of these people. All right, let's look at this comment from Brandon. My mother tried in the same way before I was sent off to war. I didn't sign at all. I told her to kick rocks. My grandmother warned me that her daughter was going to try and steal my inheritance from my grandparents on my dad's side of the family. That's evil, period. You don't take from your children. Guys, I'm going to tell you something that happened to me when I was growing up. My father told me to get out by 14. When I started to work, I got a job in high school and I started to work. And you know what he did? And I would basically pay tithe. And he would always tell me that I should pay more than I should not pay based on the net. I should pay based on my gross if I really love Jesus. So I began paying the tithe, and I would pay all of this money towards tithe. But here's where things get really interesting. After paying all of this money towards tithe, I then decide that, okay, well, I need to go to the church and ask them for the records so that I can claim it on my tax returns. Because you can actually claim your tithes on your tax return. So when you pay tithes, you can actually get a letter get something from the church showing that you had made all of these contributions to a religious organization. My father's face, when I told him this, was in complete and utter shock. And that's when he was forced to admit, that he had stolen all of the tithe money that I had given him to give to the church. So they would give us these envelopes, and I would write my name on it and have all my information. And I would give them to him to go to church and give them to the church. And it had all of my information on it so that it would basically go into my tithe account, however they monitored it. Would have all my information, my address, my phone number, all of these personal details. I was a member in the church. I had been baptized into the church. And when I revealed to him that I needed to go to the church and get this in documentation, he admitted that he had stolen every bit of the tithe money that I had paid to the church. He had stolen it. He then claimed later on that it was okay because he repaid it, so he was okay with God. All right? Evidently, and my mother claims that she used to see him sit in the car before he would head off to church, and he would be there like he was opening something. So what he was actually doing was he was opening up the tithe envelopes and putting the money into his pocket. This is a person who was making above $60,000 in like 1992 with no college degree. Many of you don't understand how much $60,000 is. He was making that amount of money in 1992 with no college degree. My father drove fast cars. He enjoyed his life. He had a great life. But he was so greedy and so desperate for money that he would not only steal from me, but he would also steal from the church. This is nothing. This is the same guy when I was 5 years old, basically told, I wet myself at school at 5. I know you're like, oh, you probably shouldn't be wetting yourself at 5, Angry. I had an accident. All right. I was a very anxious kid. I don't know what happened, but I was 5. Cut me some slack. I was 5. I wet myself at 5. He come and my school called my home. My mother wasn't there, but he was home on his lunch break from work. He comes to the school and I'm like, I'm like, did you bring me a change of underwear? And I asked him, I said, could you please, on the phone, they asked him to bring me a change of underwear. He was asked on the phone to bring me a change of underwear. I spoke to him. I said, could you bring me a change of underwear? Came to the school and he told me, I'm not here to bring you a change of underwear. I can take you home and leave you there, or you can stay here. And I said, I'm soaking in piss right now. And he goes, that's not my problem. And he just looked at me. He looked at 5 years old in kindergarten. He looked at me and just grinned. And he's like, what's your choice? And he was going to take me home and dump me. Because that's how they did it back in the 80s. Back then, back in those days, like, you didn't really have child protective service like you have today. So you can basically just abandon your kids on the street. Oh my God. Like, if you saw like some random 5-year-old walking the streets today, you would be shocked. But you see, like, remember that movie Home Alone? Home Alone, where you had like Kevin and he was like just a little kid. I don't know if he was like 7 or 8 years old, and he went to the store and he went shopping and everything, and no one actually stopped and said, "Hey kid, where are your parents?" and blah blah blah. I mean, they kind of touched on it, but they didn't really care as long as they got their money. That's how it was back in the 80s. Like your parents, at five guys, fives. For me, it was five, but often by 6 or 7. For me, it was 5. I was already cooking. I was already using the stove and preparing food for myself by 5 or 6, to be honest with you. I was on my own. I was literally on my own. My parents were gone. They abandoned me. They did not like me, especially my father. My father really didn't like me. But yeah, one of his favorite things was to basically, connect his fist with my head as a little kid. And it may have caused some damage to my brain. Who knows? But it was constant. That could be one of the reasons why I have constant anxiety. And yeah, that could explain a lot, but it doesn't matter. There are many Gen Xers who experience much worse than I did. Yes, I had horrible parents, but as you can see, this was just the norm for the boomers. They were thieves. They were cooks. They were crooks. They took it all. It's like what's his name? George Carlin. He said that, he talked about the boomers. He said sex, drugs, and rock and roll. They took it all. They did it for 50 years, and now they're staring down the barrel of old age, and they don't like it. Guys, just do it. Who says something like that? Cold, narcissistic people. All right. Cold, bloodless, bloodthirsty, narcissistic people. All right. And guys, they're never going to change. And it's not like with the boomers, it's not like a situation where, oh, hey, they're going to change at some point, or if they were younger, maybe they could change. No, even in their 20s, they were like this. By the time, guys, because they grew up, they were given everything, literally given everything. The center of the American family was the child. It was the baby boomer, and they were told that they were more important than everyone else around them. All right. It's like, for example, if you wanted an easy bake oven, your little girl had to get an easy bake oven. Your son had to get a new whatever toy was out there. They had fantastic childhoods, but they were given too much. They didn't have to work for anything. It was all about them. And keep in mind, they weren't forced to go to college. Jobs were created for them. Okay, so they would go off and get factory work or whatever and be able to live comfortably. All right, these people are absolute and utter liars. You have now in today's society, you have all, and they didn't have they didn't have college loan debt like us. We now end up having to spend everything for college, student loan debt, rent, food, and they tell us not to complain. And these are the same groups of people that then turn around and say that they had to walk miles to school. So it's amazing because their parents didn't complain about walking miles to school. Their grandparents didn't complain about walking miles to school. The people from 100 years before they were born didn't complain. Guys, this is the same crap that we're going to get from Gen Z, by the way. You already know it. Those of them that have kids, they're going to complain that they had such hard lives and they suffered so much. Oh my gosh. Thankfully, a lot of millennials are not that much older than Gen Z, so they're maybe 10 years older because they're only 50 at oldest. At most millennials are only 15 years older than Gen Zers. So it's like, most millennials are going to outlive most Gen Zers anyway. And and of course, millennials are aging way slower than they should be, and Gen Zers are aging way faster than they should be. So a lot of millennials, a lot of Gen Xers are aging like fine wine, while most Gen Zers are aging like milk. That's to say they're aging terribly. I remember someone in my comments, she was talking about, it was a Gen Xer, and she basically was talking about how some Gen Zer messed with her at her job. So she wrote up an entire letter and sent it over to HR and basically documented every mistake that the Gen Zer made, and then sent that over to HR, and then finished off the message by saying that how horrible this Gen Zer looks because they're aging in dog years. So Gen Z they're between a rock and a hard place, just to make that clear, because they're messing with something they don't understand. They can barely draft a proper letter. versus, other generations who are hip to it. They know how to actually get things done, how to read, how to think critically. Most Gen Zers will be committing crime going forward. All right, I've said this already. Their futures are basically nothing more than squatting and stealing, because they have absolutely nothing else going for them. This is a 100% generation of bad little muffins, and that's not going to change. They are exactly like the baby boomers, and they're just going to take, gaslight, and blame everyone else for everything else, for every bad thing that happens in the world or happens in their lives, because they can't. They don't know how to take accountability for anything. And guys, like I said, the dollar is heading downhill. It's not going to be around. A lot of modern women are going to find themselves in extraordinary states of poverty and destitution because men are not coming to the rescue this time. Okay? And of course, with things like this bill that they're pushing, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's just a joke. You guys can't take a joke. See, you men are too sensitive. You're just crying. You're crying like girls. This is the thing. This is how they operate. It's a level of it's a level of evil. It's a level of gaslighting. It's an extraordinary amount of cruelty, and that's what men are given. That's what men are spoon fed. Men are spoon fed this narcissism and then told just to take it. I don't know. And they really think that now passing this law that is going to punish men if they engage in any form, if they engage in self gratification, is going to, guys, this is how Trump got voted into office. And I made a poll regarding this, that like right now Trump is like speed running his presidency. Like he's moving like a freaking bull. Dude is moving like a bull right now. Like he's not playing games. He's not stopping to rest. Like he's on a mission. There's no games at all. And when he says it, he means it. He means business. 150% he means business, guys. And again, and by the way, guys, just want to do a quick shout out very quickly because we don't get to this point as often as we used to. But shout out to the 1 hour gang. Shout out to the 1 hour gang. If you made it to this point of the video, shout out to you. Give yourself a pat on the back. Shout out to you. Shout out to the 1 hour gang. Shout out to the 1 hour gang for making it to this point. But guys, women are going to find themselves in extraordinary states of poverty, destitution, as things get worse. And the world, women in other countries are going to look at American women in the coming years and wonder, how did American women fall into this extraordinary state of poverty and destitution that they are currently in a first world country? It's going to be a question that's going to be asked all around the world. How did American women end up in this state? Even as AI is replacing jobs, you're going to have a lot of men just trading cryptocurrency. You're going to have a lot of men doing side hustles, still fighting whatever hustles they can, and basically living far below their means, simple lives of luxury and comfort. They're going to begin asking, how is it that all of these men are able to not work and survive and live happily and comfortably while modern women are in extraordinary states of poverty and destitution? And no one is going to say for a moment it's because of how men are treated. It's how the state treats men, and it's how women treat men. No, that's not it. It's because these men are too privileged. That's what they're going to say. Guys, we're dealing with an extraordinary. The state is evil. All right, the state is not for your friend. The state is about controlling you and extracting wealth and resources from you as a man. So women will never take accountability for anything that they do, and because of that, because they will never take accountability, they will always play the victim. They will always ultimately end up in a state of poverty, hardship, and destitution, ultimately the victim of the state, and men are not going to come in and rescue them. And the irony, this is the funny thing, is that when women say help and men say no, that's when they're just going to turn around and then demand that the state punish men, or else punishment if men do not help them. Do you see how insane this logic is? But it just illustrates more that men and women do not think the same. Our brains are wired completely differently, and it's because of that difference in wiring why women operate the way they do, because they process reasoning using emotions. So their logic is based solely on emotions. So they rationalize using emotions while men rationalize using facts. And wherever the wind blows, her feelings will go. And as a result of that, even the most ridiculous thing will make sense to a woman because she's listening to her emotions. Only after a woman has scorched the earth around her will she then, and everything is destroyed, will she then stop and think for a moment, well, I've destroyed everything. I have nothing left. So I've entertained all of my emotions for long enough. So now I'll basically look at the opposite side of things. How did I end up here? I ended up here because I listened to my emotions and they betrayed me. And even then, she's still not taking any accountability because she's betraying her emotions and not her lack of self-control to control her emotions and use reason. But again, women struggle with that because they are not wired that way. Anyway, guys, let me know your thoughts. New law will punish men for refusing to date or marry. Let me know your thoughts. We'll talk about it in the comments. Like the video if you like it. Don't forget to subscribe. And if you like the video, share the video. And just remember that all roads lead to MWM and walking away. And cheers.
Nothing says you care like crypto. Nothing can compare. Nothing says you care like crypto. Oh, nothing can compare to crypto.